You having a huge party?
Nope, just me.
Get delicious cuisine from the country's best chefs delivered right to your door with the click of a button.
On the Gulf side of Florida, Tampa Bay is home to great expectation, to the Buccaneers. We didn't get here by chance. It was all part of the plan.
New team, new year. Let's make sure we learn from the past. Each and every single guy.
Stay with it, fellas. Embrace the grind, embrace the work.
Sure, we've come a long way, but now we find out just how much we have left. Because this team has already reached great heights, but we know that we can climb even higher. This time, we're not just battling our opponents. We face off against our own expectation.
Everybody in here know what you're capable of. You look yourself in the mirror and bring what you got to the team tonight.
Oh, yeah. This ain't about me. It's about us.
Come on, boys! Let's go now! Our best all year!
I wake up every morning. When I look in that mirror, I tell myself, you still in the fight. Yes, sir.
When you made this team, you made a commitment to your brother. Look around. This for real. Huh? This is for real. No matter what happens, we're gonna ride till the wheels fall off. Yeah. Let's go. Make every play and everybody eats today, B. Everybody eats, huh? To the end zone. And it's popped down. What a kick this year. It's going to run. Enzo Gronkowski. Oh, my goodness. Just set it up all night. Let's go. So the Hornets nest now. Get dressed, man. Who needs a field goal? Fournette going for the end zone, and he did. This is sick. What a game.
Now that's the way the Bucs are supposed to be playing. We're playing for a lot now. Everyone matters.
The road to a championship begins where last season ended, right here at home. So if you're with us, raise the flags.
Again, great win. Great team win. Special teams, hell of a job. Yeah. Hell of a job. Yeah. Garber team. Let's go. Defense, when we get a shutout, baby, we got to be a little hungry. You can't relax like that and give up 4 points when we had a shutout. All right, you know it. You know it. It's just tackling. All right, offense, good job finishing. Got a lot of guys step up. It's going to be the same thing next week. I don't give a who you are. When you put that Bucs helmet on, there's a level of expectation. All it is your best. You ain't got to be the guy you replace. Just your best and nothing less. Break it down, hell of a job.
Hey, that's a great win. Hey, we on to the next. Let's go. Win on 3, 1, 2, 3. Win.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Sports Talk 49 live on NSPN. Anytime, all the time, every week. You never know who might be on here. And, you know, today is no different than any other. You might see Deshaun. You might see Ruth the Truth. You might see Levante David. You might see Ron Butler. You don't know who you might see. But I guarantee you who you will see. You'll see me, and you'll definitely see Deshaun T-Man Tisdale right here. What's going on?
What's up, guys? What's up? Tampa!
Hey! What is going on, my brother?
Nothing much, man. You know, just enjoying like every other Bucs fan. You know, we out here. Listen, so happy. Saw a lot of coaches go down. You know, it's the NFL. It's the primetime season for NFL, Blake. I know you feeling that. I know you're in the mood. I don't care what you got going on right now. You got to understand, if you're here, Sports Talk 49, Blake Anthony, Coach T, and everybody else supporting cast is going to be out here on you know what's the network, the NS network right here, man. you know what you're going to be getting. You're going to be getting the late breaking. You're going to be getting all of the latest news. You're going to be getting that insider scoop. You know, we got a host of people that come up here. Blake's always on the ones and twos over there, putting up the stats, putting up the numbers, putting everything together. I'm going to give you the inside scoop. Then we got everybody else. We from Roof to Truth. We got Allison Caller. We got, you know, we might have Harry out here giving you the picks for the week. You know, we got everybody, man. So if you want to be with the best, you got to beat the best. And this is it right here. So let's bring it to him, Blake, and let him know. Hey, shout out to J-Buck, too. I saw you at the game. Shout out to the Buccaneer Invasion. All of my people that was at the game, man, y'all did it big. Came out there. Listen, I even saw it was a little bit of strum in the stands, like the first section over there to the left. And that I want to say in that 100 section, maybe either 100, 200 section. But we got that taken care of real easy. You know what I'm saying? Tampa style. You know how it is.
Absolutely. It's always people we know going around everywhere, giving all they got 110%, talking about not just Buccaneers, talking about football in general. And today we're going to get into a little bit of Tampa Bay's game against the Eagles. Going to talk about their matchup now against the Rams that we found out last night that's who they were playing. And while me and Deshun and whoever else may come on, we'll talk about some of the other matchups around the NFL. But first and foremost, this show's right here on NSPN, Guerrilla Marketing, Chef to You. Make sure you check all those out at any given time. Make sure to always follow me. You usually always find Deshun because Deshun's a busy man, but he always jumps on here and always gives his ones and twos because he's always welcome right here. And Deshun always brings his own, as if you guys want to check back in the later episodes, he brought on the Coop man, Christopher Cooper, right here on here, playing on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and doing his own youth movement out of New York, doing the 7-on-7 programs and everything. So you never know what you're going to get here. But so let's talk a little bit about that game. First off, I want to say that my Madden prediction was pretty close. I think the ending score was 31-14, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think that was I was either 31-14 or 31-17. I look back at it, but I mean, I think it was pretty spot on in this particular game. I mean, there was nothing. What was it? 29-17. Okay, so there we go.
It's pretty damn close. Madden had that prediction in that game.
Yes.
But what happened is what should have happened in that game. Jalen Hurts struggles to throw the ball in that game. He was running on down 24 points, running quarterback draws. All he did was throw screens and underneath. They threw a couple of deep shots, but I think maybe only 2 were completed and a few others were overthrown. It's just Jalen Hurts has struggled since college. Going into the NFL now with putting deep balls and getting balls to receivers. I mean, I seen him overthrow wide open receivers on the crossing routes. I mean, what did you see in this game, Deshun?
I mean, I thought this game was a game where, you know, I thought Smith would have been utilized a little bit more against Tampa based on the way that he played and some, you know, the rookie, just, you know, phenomenal rookie that they have. I mean, but just Tampa's defense is pretty much a smothering style defense. And when you start getting pressure and you can contain a mobile quarterback because you're able to kind of depict where the pressure is going to be solidified and come from. That from a defensive standpoint, that puts you at an advantage where you decide that you want to corral this quarterback. You don't leave many options for him to run. What I did notice, Blake, and tell me if you saw this, I noticed that Tampa chose very much. They got some players back that were injured, but they did choose to keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket by utilizing some of their younger defensive ends, a little more fresh out of college, that were probably dealing with, option quarterbacks, obviously a lot more from their college days, in a Joe Tryon, Shayonka, and with
Cam Gill.
No, they did use Cam Gill, but I saw they use Anderson.
And we talking about Andrew? We talking about defensive
98? Defensive end.
Anthony
Nelson. Yeah, they did use him and Joe Tryon. They used them because I felt like they were better option ends to play the option. Being so, coming out of college, being someone that Nelson definitely coming out of Iowa. He was a down defensive end, but he was playing option off of his edge. Same thing in Washington with Joe Tryon. And once you saw that the game was a little bit in Tampa's hand, it was back time to take those players who had snap counts, to get them out of the game. No need to risk injuries like what happened to Shaq Barrett in a late fourth quarter of a game when you don't need him out there. No reason to be out there. If the game's on the line, yes. If not, go ahead and get those players out. I think Tampa played smart in doing so. And the Eagles they are who we thought they were. I mean, is that not who this team has been all season?
No, you're exactly right. You hit a lot of things spot on right there, Deshun. You should have took Brady out. I thought when pivotal in the game was over, I was like, why is he still in? Then he took a couple sacks in that game where I thought was ill-advised that he shouldn't have taken. But luckily, there was no injuries, barring Jensen and Tristan Wirfs. Jensen was able to come back. Tristan Wirfs did come back later in that game, but then went out later and just decided to put the boot on and go into next week, and hopefully not too bad. Trying to rest himself up coming in that week. He's in a walking boot right now in practice and everything. So Bruce Arians says he's not sure.
So Blake, look at that injury. When you remember watching Tristan Wirfs, they said it was so I'm looking at it and I'm like, is that an ankle? Is that a knee injury? Because when he came back, I realized that all offensive linemen, anyone, a lot of people don't give a lot of the big guys up front, they don't usually get the credit, but they are definitely skill position guys, bottom line, and you can't have the game without them. That being said, the Tampa Bay Buccaneer offensive line also prides itself on that unit being whole and just being in there, and a lot of toughness. Last year, you remember Kappa broke his arm, finished the game in the third quarter, played a whole quarter with a broken arm, and then you saw Jensen come out clearly in pain, tough guy. Everybody knows he's tough as nails. Tears just pouring out of his eyes. Still goes back in the game. I felt like Tristan Wirfs tried to do the same thing, but he was so ginger on that leg, and I was hoping it wasn't a knee. But then later, when you saw he couldn't really put the pressure on it, I was like, okay, high knee sprains are very what's your thought about how he moved? Yeah, I'm glad that he's in the boot now, but what do you think we're at coming forward?
It's gonna be tough. Like you said, he came back. He's got that ankle sprain. It's hard to tell, the difference between high ankle sprain and low ankle sprain. I mean, at this point in the game, it's pain tolerance and what's he gonna do. And this week, with that kind of pain tolerance, you're not playing any slouches. You're gonna be playing up against Von Miller, former Denver Bronco, and now you got the legend in itself, Aaron Donald, that you're gonna have to play against this week. Now, granted, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have fared well against Aaron Donald every time. They've matched up against the Rams, but you just can't go in that game thinking everything's gonna be the same, because it's not. But his injury, it's gonna be pain tolerance. We'll see with Tristan Wirfs. I know he's gonna probably take every painkiller known to man to play in this game.
Oh, listen, it's the program. They're gonna give him that shot or the longest mile with when LT was in there. He said, "Hey, I need to make that bonus. Go ahead and give me the shot."
I'm $1 million. I heard me. I'm worth $1 million. Yep, it was any given Sunday.
Yeah.
He shows you guys will do whatever, to make those extra dollars in their contract, which, that's funny. That was a conversation that was brought up with the whole Antonio Brown thing, because he was due incentives and things like that. But that's a conversation for another time. I think that horse has been ran into the ground since the Antonio Brown incident. But the Eagle game, it's not a whole lot to dissect for us as far as the Buccaneers, as far as them staying healthy. It's the first time the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense has played as a solid unit since early week one, when Sean Murphy went down.
We did miss Sean Murphy Bunting again. So I mean, we're a team. This Buccaneer team, and I know. Remember, we're not running it back. We're going to go for two, right? So this team definitely has had its own triumphs and its own issues and situations this season, because this is a Tampa Bay team that pretty much from the onset has been missing players. And what we've seen here and was a big question. I remember me and you, Blake, we spoke about this heavily and often when they said, hey, we're going to sign all 22 starters and all 22 starters can come back. That sounds great. But to the naked eye, that sounds great. But when you really think about it, you get all 22 starters back, and you got to start looking behind those guys and say, who do we have behind you? Because if the guy in the front is making so much, the guy behind him can only make a little. And those big dogs have to run when you get them. And if you ain't a big dog, you got to stay on the porch. And right now, we see in Tampa, being able to go into the stables and they look like they're a pretty sure up team when they go to the stables. I mean, we were a little bit rough in the secondary with so many losses.
Yep.
But Russ Cockrell played, he played his tail off this season, and we're not worried about Russ Cockrell being out there right now. I mean, I think two of the young men that I'm normally worried about are D&D, Despair and Disaster, because sometimes when they're out there, they just get picked on, and it's no knock on these young men. It's just a fact that NFL coaches like a Sean Payton, they showed that, listen, we're going to exploit it. And it's not just them. We've all watched the game. We've all watched the game, Blake, and, new corner comes in and we could hear whether it's Tony Romo or Aikman or whoever, they'll tell you, oh, this new corner's in, and we know exactly where that ball's going right then. As soon as they say it's a new corner on the field, he's played his first snap, and they give you a bit of his resume, and he's just got signed last week. Oh, touchdown coming right there.
Yep, they don't even make it hidden that they're doing. It's pretty much when you come on, everybody on the offense is looking at you because they know the ball's going to you. So I mean, that's the nature of the beast. It's a dog eat dog world. If the big dogs, little dogs can stay on the porch. That's why this is a man's game, and this is what happens in the NFL. Yeah. And speaking of big dogs, coming off the porch and playing. You had one come back that missed several weeks, one in Jason Pierre-Paul, and most importantly, a friend of the show, Levante David. And me and Deshun are going to take a rest for a minute and just let you hear his post-game speech on the game, and especially one person in particular that stepped up the past couple of weeks, Jordan Whitehead. Check this out.
Hey, Levante, congratulations. I know how much it meant for you to be out there, and it seemed like it meant a lot for the fans watching you, too, to see you out there. Just what did it mean for you to be back there, recovering from this injury and out there with your team?
It means a lot. It was hard, going through that, just going out there. Like, I'm used to, being out there with my guys and not being able to play football for 3 weeks is real tough. You see guys out there having fun, and, you're not out there with them, to have fun with them. You're not out there, to be the leader that they may need at certain moments. So it kind of hit me, but I was able to, just stick to my plan, stick to the training plan, grind it out, and get my treatment to be able to get to this point. I couldn't miss first home playoff game in a long time, and I couldn't miss it. So I had done put a lot of good work in to get to this point, and all I'm going to do is just keep trying to get better.
You've always kind of been a spark for this defense and always really kind of ignited your teammates. Mm-hmm. But it seems like a lot of those guys, took it upon themselves, like Jordan Whitehead, doing that when you were out. Mm-hmm. And it's like they carried that over to today. Could you feel that? Could you feel a lot of guys kind of carrying that energy?
Yeah, of course. I talk to Jordan Whitehead all the time. I tell Jordan every time, he know what he brings to the team. He's that energy that we need. He's that fierce leader that we love. To see that energy that he brings is different than is like no other, and then it definitely rubs off on a lot of guys, you know what I'm saying? So, and it showed today, those guys was out there flying around, everybody's out there flying around having fun, and that's the type of football we want to play throughout this run.
Right on, man.
Those first 3 drives, I think they had a total of 12 yards, 1 first down, obviously no points. How big was it to be able to take that offense and keep it in check early so you guys could set the tone on offense?
Oh, it was real big. They got a lot of they're an explosive offense. For us to be able to take away those explosive plays is real big. I feel like the coaches, had a great game plan coming into the week, and we was out there and go out there and execute. Guys did a great job today just communicating. Besides that drive when they had the 2 touchdowns, so that's on our part. But other than that, I feel like we played a fairly good football game. But from here on out, it's gonna get hard, and we just got to keep getting better.
Monte, it looked pretty touch and go for you this week. When was it? How late in the week was it before you really know you'd be able to play today?
You really want to know?
Yes.
I didn't get that final call to Saturday. Saturday I did my final test, to see how I feel on it, and it went real well. Friday I got a couple reps. I was feeling pretty good, but I couldn't, really, get a real feel in practice. I had to, go out there and hit something. So I was able to get that test in Saturday, and it felt real good, and it was go from there.
Thanks so much.
Yep, no problem.
Scott Reynolds.
Levante David always giving 110%. And speaking of 110%, I can't go without saying this is a legend that just came in here. Agency One Sports Group. LaShawn, look, I'm trying to give Ron a proper intro, and you already with the
Oh
foolishness.
no. You ain't got that. You ain't got that intro right. You ain't got that intro right.
Oh,
You
okay,
know
man,
who's in the building
bring
right
me in
now.
right, bro. Bring me in right.
Let's bring him in right. Let's bring him in
We're
right.
bringing
Listen,
in right. Ron
listen.
Butler, agency.
And listen,
140.
hold on. Let me start from the top. Go ahead. Here we go, Blake. Let's bring this man in right. Because there's only one way to bring in big money man himself. You see what it is. It's big money man. You know when the shades come on, it's the South Beach King himself. Agency One Sports Group. You know what it is. It's Ron Butler. And listen, he's been here for a long time. We've been preseason talking to this man. Ain't nobody else running around here with the talent and providing and coaching the talent in the league like Agency One. Shout out right now. Let's get a big round of applause. Ron Butler in the building. Let's go.
No,
Hey,
that was so good. Ron dropped the phone on that introduction.
Hey, man, listen. That's what I'm talking about. That's how you bring him to the stage, baby.
Hey, man, awesome to have you, man. Awesome to have you. Let us know this season, man. Listen, you know we on to talk about Tampa. But before we do it, me and Blake had spoke in the back a couple of weeks ago. We saw what the numbers was looking like. We got to get one of your boys back on here again.
Definitely.
Your boy, the brother from another mother right now, DP. We had an awesome interview with him preseason.
Absolutely.
He was over in Carolina. It didn't fit there. But if you go back to that interview, it was none other than right here with Blake and Coach T that we said, hey, this is a season right now. It's a proven season for you, sir. What are you going to do? And he said he was going to put those pads on, hit people, and ball out. And right now, we're talking about leading the league in tackles. You've seen it all season long, hands down. He went out there. It wasn't no whoever that is in Seattle. It wasn't no whoever that is in LA. It wasn't none of that. It wasn't, they knocked this guy down with the jet. Who? No, man. It was none other than DP.
Sir.
He went out there and put that work in. When you talk to him, Ron, let him know. Remember where he was at first. When we was bigging him up, we told him, hey, put this cape on right here. We don't care what color the cape is. Just put it on and just start flying around and do what you do. And he went out and did what he did, baby. He did it.
You want to prove it? Put me on the field and watch what happened.
That's what he said. And he did it.
Man. Hey, listen.
That man
I played that interview back. I want to say about 6 weeks ago. And I said, man, like, he called it. And I think that, a change of scenery and, being in a position where you feel, like your presence is wanted and, the other 10 guys around you on that defense, make you feel like, hey, we going to follow your lead. And I think that's why he came out so explosive every week. He was averaging over 10 tackles per week, per game. And I was so happy. To see him finally put himself in a position where he can go out there and just be productive and just kick some ass, man. That's what he did. And it sucks that they got kicked out of the playoffs the first round. But truth be told, man, they had a great season, with the cards that they were dealt in terms of coaches and all of that other stuff that was going on and players getting tossed out and this, that, and the other. But he persevered. He did what he had to do and got his first Pro Bowl, bro. I mean,
listen, come on, Ron. You know what that feels like now. We talked about it right here, and I mean, and you listen. A lot of y'all in the fan land, y'all not really understand what it is. Sometimes you don't get an agent in front of the camera. We are so blessed and thankful to have you, Ron, because we understand the work that you put in, the number and the amount of athletes that you talk to. And I can only give all accolades, to Blake, because Blake is the connection to get you. He's the plug, if anybody doesn't know that. So, Blake is the plug, but we're so happy to have the opportunity to speak with you and to get an opportunity to speak with some of your athletes, and obviously none other than top-notch athletes. And we know you manage a whole bunch of people around the league. Hey, Ron, give us just a moment. I know you don't. I know you're not a bragging guy. I know you're not a bragging guy.
But
just put people out in family and let them get a chance to drop a couple of names on us.
Hey, listen, with obviously with the
the old head, the OG himself, Levante David. Obviously, he's been doing this for 10 plus, 10 years, and doing it at a high level.
5'4".
Guys like Denzel Perryman, first Pro Bowl. Hey, they're gonna have to back up that dump truck. Hey, that Brinks truck. They're gonna have to back that up.
DP.
So I'm guys like we got some rookies this year that actually went out and were productive, man. Ended up being starters. Ernest Jones, who's another linebacker with the Los Angeles Rams. I'm hoping and praying that he'll be healthy this week. He had to have surgery a couple of weeks ago, and I'm hoping that he'll be ready to go this week, so he'll have a chance to be on that same field with Levante down in Tampa. Guys like Aaron Robinson from the New York Giants. I had a young undrafted rookie who, and his story is unique, and I'm glad I'm on here. I'm going to tell this story really, really quick. Okay, I have a young man that I represent. His name is Jerry Jacobs. Okay, Jerry Jacobs is out of Arkansas. Jerry went undrafted, but he had all of the talent, all of the traits that you need to have in terms of playing the cornerback position. And if you look him up, his name is Jerry Jacobs. He plays for Detroit Lions. He was undrafted out of Arkansas. And just kind of give you, like I said, give you the backstory. On draft week, I guess you could say weekend, Jerry's name didn't get called. Okay, and obviously a lot of these guys, they have their ambitions of getting drafted and this, that, and the other. And, having relationships around the league, I said, okay, well, where would be the perfect fit for Jerry to go where he could make the roster, just to make the roster. Okay. Mm-hmm. And Jerry comes in, I have, great relationship up there in Detroit. Like I said, we did a free agent undrafted deal, and things just started falling in place for the kid. Just started falling in place, and he went out, he bust his ass, went through training camp, beat out some of the veteran players that were on the roster at this position. A guy over here, I forgot the young man's name. He's out of Ohio State, plays cornerback for Detroit Lions. He was a top 5, top 10 pick. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's been hurt 2 years in a row. So that piece was a big piece. They had a guy that went drafted. They got drafted this year. It was a 3rd round pick. He gets hurt. Jerry steps into the lineup. Okay. And the type of season that he had, he gave up 1 touchdown the whole season. Okay. He played every snap. He started for, I believe it was 9 games. Okay. And he was up for the Pro Bowl. Okay. As an undrafted rookie. Okay. So a guy like that, those are the stories. I'm going to be honest with you, man. Like when we talk about good players and guys that are working hard and doing what they have to do, that young man, I was so happy for him. And, I continue to praise him because he was one of those guys, when you talk about getting it out of the mud, he was one of those guys who got it out of the mud. Now, Jerry ends up tearing his ACL with a couple of weeks left in the season, but the Detroit Lions know what they have. They know they got a dog, and they know they got him for free. Okay? Yeah. So basically, I had to tell you that story because, I can give you all of the names and, the DeMonte Kazees and the Philip Dorsetts and all of those guys and, Devin Singletary and all of these other guys. I can give you all of those names. But when we talk about guys getting it out of the mud, this is one of those stories that when it's time for Ron Butler to write a book at some point, these are the guys that you got to mention because these are the guys that go undrafted and potentially have, the potential to get to, 50, 60, $70 million contract. And he was the guy who went undrafted. So I had to say that. I had to put that out there.
And I got to put something else out there real quick. Zamir White, we looking at you. You better get over here to Agency One Sports Group.
Let's go. Hey, listen, man. Let's go. Hey, listen, man. We'll love to have him, man. We'll love to have him. I mean, he's a hard worker, but did some good things in the rookie class this year. I'm excited for what we have to come, what's in store, and we're just gonna continue to work hard, man. We're gonna continue to work hard. But let's talk some football, man. Let's talk about this upcoming week, with this past weekend, and let's talk about what's coming up next.
Well, go ahead, take it off, Blake. Let's get to it.
Well, first off, we talked Bucks a little bit, so we'll talk another game. What was, I don't know, maybe some people thought it was surprising, some didn't. How do y'all feel about that Niners versus the Cowboys game? Did y'all really see that upset coming? Did you think Dallas crap bed. What do you guys think?
Listen, hold on. I know you ain't started because look, when that game went off, it felt like every single show and everybody on these shows was just losing their mind. I mean, you knew that game was going to be a bad situation, Ron. I know you saw the memes. When them memes started coming out, when you add a game and they make you a meme and you instantly famous before the game is over? Before the game over? Now, and it's like, which one? Because it was three memes in full circulation.
I know you probably talking about the two young ladies.
Yes.
That listen. When I
you
saw
seen the frustration on her face.
The frustration, man. I just think that with the Cowboys, man, it's just like, every year you think they're turning that corner, and then something derails their plans. Whether it's another team coming in having a better game plan, or if it's something in terms of their personnel and what they're doing offensively or defensively that they're not doing right at the right time when it really counts. Those are situations, man, where.
Let me ask you this, Ron, and you jump in here too, Blake, and I'm gonna just listen to y'all. I am under the assumption that Dallas has the 10 to 12 year curse. Every 10 to 12 years, that's their window. After that, they're done for another 10 to 12 years. You go back to it. Start looking. Put up the numbers. Put up the numbers from a Romo to an Aikman, right? With the Emmitt Smiths when they were good, and then they go mediocrity. They're just in the limelight because of their owner and his position in the league. We're taking the fact that this is not a team that we look at the peaks and not the valleys. For another team, we may look and say, okay, well, is this team the most winningest team? All the numbers are coming out at the end of the season, right? So I looked and I was like, okay, what's the overall numbers? How have this team done consecutively over the span of the team, over the life of the team? Is this team a winning franchise? And I mean, that team is on TV probably more than anyone else, and so they had the biggest fan base, but they also had probably one of the most disappointing fan bases, so I'm not crying. Listen, every year as a fan, especially when I get on any one of these shows and I'm starting to pontificate like anybody else, I'm not going to be crying with something. I see a lot of this writing on the wall coming, and I'm sure many of you guys, y'all see it too. But when I saw Dallas fans in the full-blown tears, I mean, just crocodiles coming out their eyes, they was really believing. And I could only think to myself, did you believe this? Well, I got a bridge to sell to you.
Listen, man. I honestly, and I'm not going to BS you guys. I honestly thought after that first game of the season, I believe they played Tampa the first game.
Yeah.
Out the gate, they was tough, but they did not win.
Tampa a fight. They gave them right. I felt like they gave Tampa a fight, and I honestly thought that they would play Tampa again somewhere down the road in the playoffs. That's what I thought I was going to see. Okay, last year the defense was terrible. Last year.
Horrendous.
Okay, horrendous. So they bring Dan Quinn in. Okay, he revamps the defense. Offensively, you get Dak back. He's healthy. Okay, I don't know where things started to go wrong in terms of just the identity. I guess that's really what it was. The identity. Who are the Cowboys? This 2021 team? Who's the Cowboys? Like, what are they known for? What do they do well? And from a turnover standpoint, defensively, they had the most turnovers in the league. You had the interception leader. You had the defensive rookie of the year, all Pro Bowl guy. You got DeMarcus Lawrence over there that causes havoc. And I just don't know where shit went bad for them. Like I don't know what happened. And maybe you guys can shed some light on what you guys think might have happened during that run, during the playoffs, and kind of give your insight on it. I mean, what do you guys think?
I don't. You're right. The Cowboys, really look like they really turned the corner, especially on the defensive standpoint. Everybody thought, well, this is it. They have the offense. They have one of the highest scoring offenses in the league. They're looking at their offensive coordinator to get a head coaching job. It just seemed like everything turned the corner, but it seems like, in a way, Dan Quinn kind of brought some of the struggles Atlanta had back, and they kind of fell apart when it came into the playoffs. Not saying curses and things like that exist, but it just seems like that's what happened now. They came over there, and the team, what could go wrong went wrong in that game. You made early mistakes that you made mistakes that you make earlier in your season in the playoff game. You had all momentum coming into this playoff game, and it just seems like when they get to that point where you think they've turned the corner, like you just said, Ron, it's just everything goes negatively, and then Stephen A. Smith is always there to shoot them down when it happens.
Well, listen. Let me tell you this, Blake. You see these right here? A pair of 3D glasses, right?
Oh, Lord of mercy!
Got these 3D glasses because I didn't need no 3D glasses to find out what happened to the Dallas Cowboys this week. I'm gonna tell you. Here's what happened to them. It's exactly what Ron said. They're a team did not have an identity. Now let's take this back. Let's look back 1 year ago. I'm watching Stephen A. Smith. I'm watching Shannon. I'm watching them on First Take. I'm seeing them say stuff on a 4-letter. A year ago, they were Zeke's team and Dak.
Yep.
This year, Pollard's in the mix. They don't know if they really want to run the ball. They're trying to get the short passing game, the medium passing game. They had weapons. Last year, they had weapons. It was the running game. They're going to get the ball to these weapons, and they were that. And the only thing they said was, oh, they need a defense. They got no secondary because their defensive front was stout. Their defensive front was already a stout defensive front. That was not the problem. So then you said, okay, I see them bring KZ, and they get KZ in the back. And I said, oh, man, they got safeties now. So now you got 2 new safeties back there. You had a solid defense to start with, probably some of the best linebacker, a collective best linebacking core of individuals. Just statistically and player attribute wise, they have great linebackers. So you get a rookie linebacker that's phenomenal as well. You got Lawrence over there causing problems. Well, guess what? Offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. So when we see a defense get built up, I'm thinking to myself, oh, this team about to be solid. But like you said, you had somebody from the Falcons on your squad, right? So when you bring in the Falcons, you also bring in some of that. And I mean, let's not just make light of it, because guess what? What happened in Tampa? You brought in winning, and you got a winning culture. You brought in winning coaches that are used to winning, and you brought culture in, right? When every time a team takes a player, they're taking some of that culture from the other team. We don't like to talk that, but it's almost generational. And look what happened. They brought it over there. The collapse was waiting to happen. But the problem for this Dallas Cowboy team this year, I think you hit it, Ron, and my feeling on that was 100% sentiment. I don't know who this team is. And when you get to the playoffs, every single team wants to run the ball in the playoffs because they want to be able to control the clock. They want to play their game plan. And when I saw them not be able to come out, and I saw the same thing with the Cardinals last night, when somebody punched them in the mouth, they had no response for the punch in the mouth. The plan is great until you get punched in the face.
So when you get punched in the mouth,
we got to know what you're going to do. And I saw this Dallas Cowboy team, they looked disheveled. When they did start to run the ball late in the third quarter, it was, and so you don't tell me about the end of the game and all those shit. I don't want to talk about the end of the game stuff. We don't need to talk about end of the game because we don't get to that point. There's how many plays do we leave on the field prior to this one play? If we're going to talk about this one play, then we got to talk about all the other plays. And so that's why we're not going to talk about the one play. So for me, I'm saying that this team lost their identity, and I don't think they get their identity back with Zeke and Dak. Something has to leave because Pollard ran hard as hell this year. But guess what? You're already paying Zeke. So now you got to keep him because you're paying him. And this is where we run into it in the NFL. And I think that's one of the things that moving forward, the league and these owners are going to have to kind of mash out and handle a little bit more. Maybe they have to get some, because I mean, what do you do, Ron? You're Zeke's rep, you're Zeke's agent, and you got him paid, and now he's not being productive. He's now sitting on his own morals. What do you say? What do you say from a business point? Right now, guys, we got Ron Butler, Agency One Sports Group on here, probably best ones in the business doing it right now with some of the top athletes. And you just heard him tell you about another one of his athletes. We've had many of them on the show. We love to have them, bring them as many times as you can because they're always hard workers. They always they getting it out the mud, as everybody said. You know, they coming from the bottom and they get into the top on some Drake stuff. But as we watch players when they get to the top, what happens, Ron, when they get there, they kind of plateau. They kind of take that edge off. We didn't see it out of DP this year. We've never seen it out of Levante David. But this year, are we seeing that out of Zeke with Dallas?
Listen, okay. Before we go there, I want to share a quick story. So I was watching a podcast yesterday. I believe it's I Am Athlete podcast, and Fat Joe was on the podcast, and Brandon Marshall's talking about when guys basically like plateau, or guys basically like they kind of lose that thing that got them there, that hunger. Okay. And when you're on that journey and you're so like, especially like guys that come from the inner city area, they got a rough upbringing and they figure out a way to rise to the occasion. They fight, tooth and nail to try to get out, and they're climbing. And once they get, I don't want to use the word too big, but it's kind of like they start not to have that same hunger, that same desire for the game. Okay, and I believe I can't say that that's what happened with Zeke. I think that from my standpoint, if I had like with one of my clients, I think they're playing like trash. Guess what? I'm texting them at halftime. And I'm telling them, bro, you look like shit. Okay, I need to see more from you. Listen, I'm not lying. I promise you. During halftime, I'm texting DP at halftime. We have this thing where the guys check their phones at halftime because I'm gonna let them know what's really good. Okay,
you let them know how they look on TV, what they saying about them, right? Like you let them know whether they checking the box or it's still unchecked.
It's still unchecked. So if you're a guy, think about this. If you're a guy that's playing at a very high level, okay, and there are certain expectations that your team has for you, there's certain expectations that fans have for you, and there's certain expectations that you have for yourself. Okay, but at the end of the day, whether it's an injury, whether it's a game plan, like something's got to give. Like something like if you're making 15 million or more per year, you're a superstar in this league, right? Then you got to do some superstar things to make sure that I get my team to the finish line.
Correct.
Okay. Now that's offensively, but let me give you guys. I'm gonna drop a gem on you real quick. Okay, and hopefully, I know this interview is going to be on Twitter and all this other stuff, but let's go back to the defense for a second. Okay. Defensively, in my opinion, here's where they went wrong. Okay. They had a 4-man rotation at safety. Okay. You got Kazee, you got Deron Curse, you have Malik Hooker, and I believe number 6 is Wilson. Okay. When you start playing musical chairs, okay, and what happens is guys tend to do one or two things. Either they're going to say, okay, I accept my role and I just want to make sure my team wins. I got to go out and do everything I need to do. Then sometimes that could be okay. Okay, but when you have guys that are used to being starters, they came on this team, they were starters at one point in their career, and they're used to playing at a high level. They're doing different things, and they rise to the occasion because we're not playing musical chairs. Okay, we're not here to do that. Okay, so I believe this is what happened, especially with the secondary, because I saw a lot of things, especially with Kazee. There were a lot of things that I felt like, from a team standpoint, when we start talking about identity, when you start playing those musical chairs, you start playing those head games, it can throw a lot of stuff off. Okay.
Well, let me ask you this, Ron. That wouldn't be something I would foresee, especially, and we can talk about Kazee, because I feel like he came with Dan Quinn. I mean, technically he went before Dan Quinn, but you get what I'm saying. You already know me.
No. Quinn was actually Quinn was actually at first. Quinn was there.
So then to me, my feeling is then you had a word in getting me over here because I was available and I played a style that you like. So, and then let's talk about exactly, guys, what Ron is saying. If we're not understanding out there, There are certain players that are okay to come in for one play. There's other DBs that they need to get the feel of the game. They need a
100%.
play or two to get into it.
Yep.
They need to, and some players, their talent is their IQ.
Yep.
For them to get in the game, watch a couple of
Now you
plays, see
talking
what the
football.
offense is attempting or trying to do to them. And once they start keying on route combos, you can't bring them in one play and let them try to
Can't feel
figure it out,
nothing like
because it's a difference from being on the sideline and being on the field. The quarterback has to see what you do as a player. There's certain players that all of their interceptions, Ron, we could talk about this, and Blake, you know this too, being a DB. There's certain players that their interceptions come from baiting a quarterback because they did something to play before to give the quarterback the illusion that they would do something when the quarterback thinks he's seeing what he's seeing, but they're really baiting him. Richard Sherman's done it a number of times. Many DBs do it, but you take that aspect of the game away from them when you are playing in musical chairs. Now, if there's an injury, that can happen, but that's not what you're talking about, is it, Ron?
No, that is. But you hit it right on the head. Like, you hit it right on the head. From a football standpoint, players have to get a feel for the game. When there's musical chairs going on and different things,
Hard to do that.
from a scheme standpoint, like I listen. You know, Kazee in the Falcons uniform and Kazee in the Cowboys uniform, there's not much different in terms of player. Okay.
Nope.
But there's a lot of difference in terms of position, putting players in position to make plays. If you're a single high safety, the only thing you're responsible for is that middle third of the field.
Correct.
Okay. Your numbers are going to show, okay, well, I've been on the field all of these snaps, but I only have this amount of interceptions and this amount of pass deflections or this amount of tackles, because now I'm playing 15 yards back. They're not throwing to the middle of the field.
No.
Everything is outside of the hash, or they're throwing things underneath. Okay. So when I start to look at Kazee in terms of what he did when he was with the Falcons,
he was coming downhill in the box.
Interchangeable.
They kept moving safeties. They had the two high safety, and he kept coming down in the box.
And that's where he had a lot of his production, a lot of his interceptions, a lot of his tackles. At one point, with the Falcons, he was leading the team in tackles because he was rotating down. Okay, he had 7-8 picks in one season, but it's because Dan Quinn was putting him in a position where he can actually make those plays. With Dallas, it was a different animal. Okay, you bring a guy like Malik Hooker in, who's a good player. You bring in a guy like Jaron Kearse, who I thought was more of a special teams guy, but he had a pretty decent year this year as well. But I think when you put a guy like Kazee that's a ball hawk, and you just tell him, hey, play the middle field, play the middle third of the field, don't let anything get behind you, then now you're taking the guy who specializes in bumping down, covering the underneath routes, putting in a position where he's dropping to the flats and doing different things. You're kind of making him one-dimensional.
Well, would you say to me, Ron, let me ask you this, and jump in here, Blake, too. I thought, for me, with the KZ, I felt like he was a scheme sabotage. Because if I'm Dallas, I would probably want to use him more. I know they don't do two high safeties because they love to run that cover one man on the outside. But I think if they did more robber with him, that would put him in a position that would better use his attributes. But they don't, they tend not to do that. They want to stay backer heavy. I think that's just a scheme sabotage by, from a team perspective, not utilizing their personnel. And that's the difference between this Dallas team not getting the wins that you would think that they should have because of personnel use. I mean, that's across the ball.
That's. I mean, I couldn't have said it any better. It's personnel use. And if you're putting your players, put it this way, man, all of the championship teams that I've ever watched, like we can go back last year in terms of Tampa Bay, with their championship run and with the things that they were able to do, putting guys in position. Todd Bowles does a hell of a job scheming. They have an identity. And those great teams that make those runs deep in the playoffs, they have an identity. This goes with college football. This goes with high school football because it's talent on both sides of the field. Okay, but it's about those coaches who know how to coach, who have just an identity in terms of their defense and how they do things. Whether they're going to blitz on first down or sitting zone on second down or the man-to-man, whatever the case may be. They have an identity. And I think the Cowboys, offensively, they have some issues, but I think defensively, you got guys that can make plays. You got guys that are relentless defensively, but if you don't put them in position to make plays, then you're going to struggle and you're not going to have an identity. And to me, I believe that that's what the case was.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I'm just going to call it a safety carousel that they had going on there in Dallas. And to piggyback on what you said a little bit as well, Ron, you brought in, let's just talk about what happened here. You brought in a mostly injured Keanu Neal, who was a safety. What did you do? You moved him down to linebacker now to play that, I guess, nickel linebacker or sub LB, what they call that now, what a lot of teams are doing.
Which I think that was smart. I thought that was smart because I thought he was a liability in terms of coverage. Even with the Falcons, I thought he was a liability. So I felt like bumping him down to that box and making him a primary box player. Now you're only asking him to cover running backs out of the backfield. You may match him up sometimes with tight ends. Okay, but if you run a lot of zone, then you can sit him in that curl flat area. He can make plays out there. I felt like that was okay in terms of what they did. But with your go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Blake.
No, you're good. I was gonna get into that. Because you tried to simulate a Cam Chancellor, pretty much what you were trying to do with Keanu Neal. You tried to make a Cam Chancellor out of him. So what you didn't do when you brought all these safeties in here is like when you talk about Tampa Bay, and it's good that you brought Bowles and Tampa Bay up and scheming. You say to yourself, how do I maximize my coverage by what the talent I have on this team? I've got to run a defense where I can have all of my safeties on the field and put them in a winning situation, given the game plan we're coming up. If they want to come out and multiple wide receiver sets, I'm ready for that. I got a safety that could go down in the box, cover outside the numbers, or he can slide in and play Robert, whatever you come up. Can he replace when I send a linebacker on a dog blitz? Whatever the case is, I don't think he came up with a good enough defense to maximize your potential using your guys. And like you said, he was sabotaged by the game, by the scheme, because no identity.
Well, think about this with San Fran. We got to give some credit to San Fran. Okay, let's not sleep on those guys. Okay, you got Jimmy G, who's an okay quarterback. He's not phenomenal. He's okay, but what you have going on here is you got a head coach that knows how to scheme. Okay, there's a lot of misdirection going on, a lot of trick plays. I mean, I think Kyle Shanahan is one of the best in terms of scheming. Sometimes he's not going to be that guy that's going to get you to the mountaintop, but he's going to scheme up some stuff that's going to make you think.
Right.
Okay, and I think that he caught Quinn slipping, okay, and the things that they were doing offensively.
I'm blown by it, Ron. Ron, here's what's blowing me. We're talking about two people that just came from the Atlanta Falcons. We're talking about, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about ex-Atlanta Falcon people. So listen, I can't look across the field and I can't figure this guy out. We've been looking at this in the NFL for a long time. There's going to be a whole lot of stuff that's going to be going on in the backfield, trickery, tomfoolery, whatever you want to call it. It's really just to keep those linebackers and people sitting still. I think the casualty to me, as I watch these teams, I try to watch these teams from the standpoint of thinking, what will these teams and how will it play out against Tampa? So I'm looking at this team thinking Dallas is going to win at the beginning of the game. I'm thinking they're going to win. But when I see this San Fran team jump out the gate and start doing all their motions and their shifts and sliding, and I'm watching the response or non-response out of that Dallas defense, the front not shifting. I may see one person line up outside of the box. I'm like, okay, they heavy. They was in 13 personnel, and now they're heavy to the right, and only one person shift to comp that. So now you're +2 on the right side.
The numbers game,
right?
And it becomes a number. Coaches, we like to call that when we watch the film. We going through breakdowns. We like to call it your pre-snap beat, right? You're beat before the snap, and if for the fans that don't know, you draw a line in the center of the field, and if I count, I got 3 guys on this side of the line, and you got 4. Yeah, hey, I'm not the way I want to go.
Outnumbered.
Go the other way.
Outnumbered.
Outnumbered. And it's outnumbered, and it's not. I don't care if you got the best player that you could think of. If he's got 4 guys over here, and then he motions the runner over, or a blocker over,
Or a
and then
pulling
we
guard.
snap the ball, and the defense hasn't done anything to compensate. Guess what? You're pre-snap beat, and when the play starts, you're then real-time beat, and when the score happens, you're touchdown beat.
Touchdown beat. Hey man, strike up the band, baby. Strike up the band.
That's it. Let me hear. Look. Let me hear JSU play. Hey, hold on. Wait. I know we talking, but tell me, Ron, did you think Prime Time was going to be able to pull a number one player in the country right from here, Collins Hill High School, Travis Hunter? Did you, when you saw that? Because I know we talking NFL guys. Give us a minute. We got a Prime Time JSU. He pulls the number one player in the country in Travis Hunter right out of here, Gwinnett County, Georgia. That's where I'm at right now. Travis Hunter, seeing this kid in person. He's everything that he's, striked up to be, anything that anybody's talking about him. He's went to the numbers, did the Senior Bowl, proved it. He is the truth. But when you see Dion gets him to an HBCU, that's not a Power 5. It's not somebody in the WAC. It's not the swag. It's not the we not A&M. He didn't go to Bama. He got him at JSU. What does that say to you for either what Prime's doing or what's going to be happening with HBCUs? And is that something you think would be a trend, or do you think it's? And I know just off topic, I just want to know: do you think it could be a trend, or do you think it's because now with these guys able to get their own NIL deals that it doesn't matter where they go?
Okay, first of all, let me answer let me say this. I love it. The fact that somebody was able to come in and convince the number one player in the country to come to an HBCU. It says a lot about the coach. It says a lot about his recruiting tactics, but it also says a lot about the kid, with the kid understanding that it doesn't matter where you go to school, my man. They're going to come find you. And if you dominate that league, if you do what you do, guess what? You can still get drafted in the first round. You can still get drafted in the top 10. There's a lot of guys that I see that want to go with the popular thing. The Bamas, the Oregons, Ohio State,
the Georgias.
The Georgias. They want to go to those programs. And it's because they feel like the college experience will probably be different. But if you see what Dion's doing, like I remember watching some of the games or looking at some of the pictures on the internet, and I couldn't believe how many people were in the crowd at the JSU game. And I said, yo, he's about to change the game. And that was before he actually got the number one player in the nation. He also got that top receiver.
I think he's the number one slot receiver, but I think 5 overall. But I think he's the number one slot receiver. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that's what I'm saying. I think it had to be a special coach and a special person to really get that whole thing, that whole movement going. It couldn't just be anybody. It had to be a special guy. And I think with Dion, with Coach Prime, what he brings to the table is obviously league experience, obviously Hall of Fame, obviously all his accolades that he has under his belt. But I think that he's able to reach the kids. He can reach them. God bless the dead. He had young Dolph come in, locker room with the kids. Guys want to come because they know it's Prime. Prime is changing the game, and people have to respect it. And now they're going to listen. They're going to try to find some way to eliminate what he's doing.
Yep.
But it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'm going to tell you why it's not going to work. He's got too much support. Okay. Yeah. When you start changing these kids,
they
top
need
guys,
to come
you start
for
changing their mind, they're going to have to come for him. It's going to be
they're going to have to come for him. Because Ron, you said it. I was thinking to myself, because to be honest, remember, I think we spoke about it only a little bit, Blake, where I was like, oh, I thought he was going to FSU. You know what I'm saying? I figured he's going to go to state. I mean, but when I see him stay where he's at, and I start seeing the energy change, then you start seeing him on ESPN, and he starts talking about something so simple as the nameplate on the back of your jersey. And why don't these kids have their nameplates? And I saw, and when that hit for you, it was just like, man, they got their nameplates. Man, even the rat kids got their nameplates. You know what I'm saying? Like $2. Why college don't got that? Because I know you selling the rights to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Let them
you
come out with a
definitely
video
doing that.
game. Let them. You selling tickets. You doing all that. They can't get that. But
Yep.
he's adding that extra value, and I think what he's doing is that's going to benefit. It's going to permeate across the board. Now, the other programs will have to hold up to their end of the deal, because I will tell you, I'll be going this year to some earlier ones with my son, some visits and stuff like that. But as we go to these different college campuses, and I know they don't look like they're built the same, Coach. I went some HBCUs, and I'm like, oh, okay, this what y'all got, okay. And I may go to a high school. Shoot, I can go to Valdosta High School down in Georgia, and they could rival a college weight room, no problem. D1,
Oh, yeah.
no problem. And same thing in Texas. Damn near any high school over there rival D1 colleges all year long. So when you go to HBCUs, they have to step their program up. You cannot just take all the football money and not put it back into the football program. I'm saying you can't make a profit, because obviously it all make a profit. But there's one last thing I'll talk about, Prime, and then we can switch back to NFL. I like, and me and Blake both said we like the fact that he was like, I'm not taking that little $3 to $5 million to get our head chopped off by some, program that got 10 number one picks. I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, why I'm gonna play 10 NFL guys and get my guys confidence? I thought, wow, do you realize how many schools every year take that money and get their head just knocked off?
Money game.
Money game. For money. Yeah. And you bring up this topic, Deshun. It's funny. I know Ron didn't really bring it up, but when me and Ron first started talking, you're talking right in Ron's wheelhouse. Especially when you're talking, what I'm about to say is, because you forget, before Ron was an agent, and one of the skills that Ron's got are how he talks to people. Ron used to coach football. Ron knows about the recruiting process. We talked about Florida State and Bobby Bowden, him speaking to him, and Bobby Bowden taking some of his players. I'm not sure if you knew that or not, Deshun.
Didn't know it.
Yeah. So, you're talking right in his wheelhouse when you're talking about this recruiting game, because Ron is very familiar with all of that. And like you guys both said beautifully about, it's going to change the game here a little bit. So I'm really interested to see what happens here and what kind of backlash is going to happen for whatever happens, because I'm sure something is going to happen.
Listen, when mum's the word, go ahead, Ron.
I was going to say another thing that you had hopped on when you're talking about Prime. You started talking about the NIL. Okay, the NIL is by far. There's two things. I think the NIL and the transfer portal are two of the worst things that they could have ever done.
Thank God. Yep.
It's two of the worst things they could have ever done. Okay, because now you have guys that that are part of these boosters. They're boosters.
Yep.
They're figuring out ways. Okay, you know what? If we have $20 million in NIL money, and we need to go get a top quarterback, or we need to go get we need to have a kid transfer. Like, you look at the kid from Oklahoma, the freshman who came in and who was so successful, and he beat out the what's the other kid's name?
Rattler.
Who was the starter?
Rattler.
Okay. Remember, Rattler was supposed to be like a top 5 pick. Remember that?
He was on QBU or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Right. And then basically he pissed down his leg. Okay.
Yep.
The freshman comes in and he's super
Shows
productive. Shows out. Okay. So Rattler loses his starting position. The freshman becomes a starter. Now the freshman is in the transfer portal. And it basically comes down to scheme fit and who's going to have the most money for NIL.
Yeah. I mean, it's a new game, Ron. I think the game just changed. Did it not just change right in front of us? Like, okay, tell me when you first thought, because, when I first thought the players were going to get paid, I said, listen, you're not getting paid this education that they're selling you, because you can't take the courses that are needed, most cases, to really come out with something substantial. And I forgot, it was a basketball player that was talking about us. So I was watching his live one time, and I'm like, listen, they should extend that they should extend those scholarships that they're the full rides that they provide to these young men for another 3 to 4 years after their playing time. And the reason being so that they could come back and finish their degree.
Right.
Understanding that certain classes that they're going to take and they're going to have on their curriculum are not necessarily going to put them towards where they need to make a living at after they finish playing this sport, if that does not pan out into a living. And I think, listen, if you're giving me a scholarship and it's a free ride, you should guarantee I can put a degree to this, you know? I mean, make some type of numbers, put some association with it. Okay, time versus or hour time, whatever, because we put the hours to it anyway, right? They got to commit a certain amount of study hours. Let's put hours to it and say, listen, we'll give you up to double for, you know, maybe you change a major, but you might not change that major if you don't have a bowl game coming up. You might not change that major if y'all ain't playing Alabama before the last week of the season and you might in its finals week, right? That's different for a sports athlete or student athlete, but we can't take that out when the number one person getting paid on your campus is your football coach, not any professor, the number one, the highest paid person on campus is the football, not even the AD. So when the football coach is the highest paid, we can't tell me that this is not a pro game. This is a pro game. We're just playing minor leagues. You're doing free. You're getting free. You know, I don't want to even go that route, but we're getting free labor here. You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't do it. No.
Man,
I don't do it. I'm just saying we get free labor here, and I get it. We're saying to these kids, we're telling them, oh, you get education, But most of the people that cheer for these teams, they don't even go to those schools. You know what I'm saying? You know what? Most of the people, they don't go to those schools. They buy all the merch. They make that money, right? They make all the merch money, get all the tickets, they get on fan sales. I'm like, listen, just think about that. At these college games, this is a college. Most of these kids are not the age. Beer at college games are just free flowing. You know what I'm saying? It's just free flowing. There's no tap limit. There's no. I mean, they carrying them out. You know what I'm saying? This is a college game. They're carrying them out. So this is clearly a business. If we're going to treat it as a business, I'm okay with that. But the portal, like you just said, to me, the portal is something different. The portal, I was looking at it from this past aspect of it. I said, the portal shows me how that first coach can sell you so well and then not use you, and you made a bad decision. You got sold. You got recruited heavily. Whatever happened, you didn't pan out. And I think a lot of people are not doing the due diligence to understand that when I'm at your house, everybody else on this panel, for everybody that's at home, you got any kids that's playing any sport, doesn't make a difference. Every one of us right now on this panel is at one player's house recruiting that player for the exact same position. And we might be having 2-3 trips because we're going to recruit your crosstown rival that play the same position. And all of y'all are going to show up to my camp. I can tell you from personal experience, when you show up to your college with your all-county and your all-state shirt on, and you see everybody from every other all-county and all-state.
Say, wait a minute.
Day one, dude, when you come with you, because you get there, you go downstairs and they start giving you all your merch and your little sweatpant packet and your everything. And you start because you come out with your own stuff on that first day. Then you go and rock your freshest joint, your highest honor. You got your all-state on, and you see an all-state in a red color. And you see an all-state in a yellow. What state is that? You from where? Okay. That's all-state. You all-state too? What you play? And then I'm telling you, I got there and I seen a weak side linebacker that was there with me, and he was a weak side linebacker. I said, me and you played against each other. And then the other dude that was against, I'm like, dude, y'all recruited all of us?
Yeah.
And you're thinking you was the one. You thought you was Neo. You wasn't Neo. You somebody else in the matrix. You just a 1 or 0. And hope you're a 1 and not a 0.
Yeah.
You know what we doing wrong.
You thought you was the one. You thought you was Neo. I gotta use that.
You just a 0.
That was good. That was good.
Look, at the end of the day, it's all numbers, right, Ron? So you either a 1 or a 0. So we trying to be a 1. And look, we right here with the 1 from Agency 1 Sports Group, Ron Butler. Let's go.
Yep. And speaking of Agency 1 Sports Group, they got all these guys up in these big playoff games coming. So you mentioned Singletary, Levante David, Ernest Jones. The list goes on, and these
Who else we
stories.
Got Travis Benjamin, got Brandon Powell. Let me see. Steelers just lost. We got Devon Hamlin.
KZ just played.
KZ just lost. Perryman just lost. So, hey, listen, man. Like, somebody got to go home. Somebody got to
go. Hey, will you be down in Tampa this week? Are you going to be? Are you going to be able to catch a game? Any one of these games you want to catch in person?
I'll be at the Tampa and the Rams game this weekend.
Okay. We heard it.
And Blake, I got your footballs, baby.
Oh my God.
I got the footballs, baby. I didn't forget about you, man. I didn't forget about you, bro.
Oh man, you good, man. I know how busy you guys down there at Agency One Sports Group. You guys branching out. You got signing you guys some baseball players. You always recruiting.
Oh man. That baseball, hey, listen, that baseball is a different animal, man. It is a different animal.
The numbers look different, I'm sure. I'm sure them numbers look different.
Hey, listen.
Women lie, men lie, numbers don't lie.
Hey man, here's the thing. You can have 30 football players, that are making decent money. But if you get 2 baseball players in the MLB with the guaranteed contracts, like, you don't need anything else. I'm gonna just be honest with you. You don't need nothing else.
You can just take it to the house right there with them.
Man, listen, man. You sign somebody.
Listen, hey guys, y'all heard it right here. If y'all follow Coach T, Ron Butler, Agency One Sports Group, say, hey, take your kids out of these other sports, put them in baseball.
Put them in baseball.
Put them in baseball.
If they can run, teach them how to catch that ball with the glove, and if they can be a leadoff hitter, they ain't even got to hit home runs. Just get on base, steal bases, all that stuff, bro. At the end of the day, if a guy can sign for $100 million or $200 million, it's fully guaranteed, and as an agent, hey, I would love it because it's 4% that I can charge on that, and the contract is guaranteed. So at the end of the day,
no loss. You're guaranteed your money. You got it.
And your upfront money that you got to put up in terms of an agent, in terms of the investment, it's not the same thing. It's peanuts. It's just a long game. Baseball is a long game.
It is a longer game. Hey, listen, guys. When you're getting that insight, you're getting it right here. Blake Anthony, Coach T, and none other than the special guest, Ron Butler, Agency One Sports Group on. So listen, you're getting the insight, you're getting the snips. I know this is a lot to take in, and you're going to have to play it back, rewind it back. You got to bring it all the way back because you're getting so many pieces right here. And listen, it got to be Blake Anthony doing it up, and it's none other than me, Coach T, with him right now. And we got Ron Butler again here. So let's get into this, Ron. I know I'm going to put you on the spot right now. I know you got players on both sides. I know you don't want to pick. But since you got the coach in mind in the back of your head, I know you got the coach in mind. You can't, once you coach, you never don't stop coaching. You be coaching the game on the sideline like, I would have did this in your head, but you don't say nothing, right? Like, so tell me.
Right.
What's the picks for this week? Give me your picks in this week. Right now. We can go all the games. What's your picks this week? What you got?
All right, let's go. Kansas City, Buffalo. Kansas City's
tough game.
Home. Kansas City's at home. I'm going KC. By 14. KC by 14.
Okay.
KC by 14. We have Green Bay and San Francisco. Aaron Rodgers at home. Got to look and see what the temperature is going to be. But it's hard to bet against Rodgers at home. I'm gonna have to go Aaron at home. I would say probably by 10. I'll give him 10. We have, is it Tennessee and Cincinnati?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay, that's in Tennessee.
Correct.
Yep.
I'm going Tennessee because you got your man back. I believe
Big King Henry.
Henry's back.
Yeah.
Henry's return.
Yeah. I don't think they're gonna be able to stop the run. So I'm going Tennessee. And let me see what else we have.
You know what it is. Fire those cannons.
We got Tampa Bay and the Rams. I can't bet against Brady. I won't bet against Brady.
That's,
So
yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna
hard to
go. I'm gonna
do.
go Tampa Bay. I'm gonna go Tampa Bay in a close one. Tampa Bay by 3. Who else we have? I think that's all the picks, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it. That's
that's
it. It's the
it.
4 games. It's the 4 games. Hey, Blake, you want me to jump in next, or you
Go
want to go
ahead.
next?
Go ahead, jump in. I'll fix
Hey,
it up.
I'm thinking. Listen, I just feel like it's going to be a little bit more of a shootout with KC and the Bills, and then just because that defense to me, um, defense to me for Kansas City really didn't show me that they could stop a mirror image of themselves.
Right.
I think that the Bills are a different version of the same team. To me, the methodology is the same. Their build is the same. When I look at both of these two teams, the reason I say Tampa beat them is because of what they are and who they are. They're a
Right.
team that is built to play with the wind. And once they get in front of you, they can impose their will, do what they want to do. They do not really want to run the ball, which is very playoff common. But because they are
Right.
very uncommon, and Andy Reid is known to been great when he's winning. Historically, he's a great winning coach. But when he's
Right.
not winning, he's not a come from behind artist or very well in that. So I'm going to say this Bills game. I like it to be a shootout. I want to see it a plus. I think it's going to be a plus 40 game, so more than 3 touches on both sides. And I'll give the edge. I'll give the edge to Kansas City. To be honest with you, Mahomes does some stuff, and I feel like they utilize their pieces a little bit better than what the Bills can do. But shout out to the quarterback from the Bills. I feel like, dude, when you're not even picked up, you go to the JUCO. He's just another one of those stories. I mean, he's such a homegrown story, Ron.
Yep.
He feels like he would be with Agency One because you guys seem to put out true homegrown grassroots. No, I'm for real, Blake. Like,
That's
like
linebacker you out there.
from Tampa is like the same thing. It's like he has when you have those players that there's no way they made it, but they made it. It's like, how do you keep picking them, right? Like, how do you keep getting the gems? You get only the gems. So I take the Chiefs. I'll say anywhere from 3 to 7. I'll take the Chiefs. I'm again with Rodgers. I like what 49ers did. I think offensively they can do the same thing, but the weather comes to play. When you go to Lambeau, it's going to be a weather situation. And when you get in Lambeau, if you came from Frisco, look, I've been in Frisco and it said it's 68 and it feel like it's 73 and you don't have a jacket on. I mean, late in the evening, you might, throw a little sweater or a hoodie, but you're good. When you go to Lambeau and you seeing your breath, inhale and exhale, and you got to be wearing everything, you're not used to that. It's very hard to kind of turn your senses off,
psyche,
and to get your psyche out of the tundra. And because when you think about at this point, all you can hear every time I think of Green Bay in playoff time, all I could think is that NFL old voice, and it's like the frozen tundra. Like, I just hear it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna pick Green Bay. I once again I can't go against Aaron Rodgers until he plays Tom because
that's what I'm saying.
He needs somebody to battle, and I got Green Bay winning that. I think they'll get it by +9. And then I'll go with this Bengals Titan. I think King Henry is back. Titans, they back in the play. I mean, Bengals rather in the playoffs. Haven't been in the playoffs for a while. I think they're missing a piece inside. They need that nasty linebacker. I don't think the Bengals have had
Agreed.
that type of linebacker since they had the dude that was just an absolute beast.
Burfict?
Yes. Do you remember? They need that type of Vontaze Burfict linebacker that pulls your helmet, knocks your helmet off, and then pumps it into the stands. They need that
enforcer. He was an
enforcer. And they don't have that. They don't have that linebacker in the middle that is going to stop it. And I've only seen, I think it was maybe C.J. Mosley from the Jets kind of knock Henry down to the side like that. And I think that a Burfict type linebacker is able to do the same type of thing. So I got them running away with it. Obviously, it's the Titans, and they don't blow teams out, but their ball control, they'll just have time possession with Henry. He'll fall forward for 3 and 4 yards of play, and they'll just milk that clock all the way out. I say they win it by +9 as well. And then we'll go to this Tampa game. I think at first, to be honest with you, yes, I was rooting. I wanted the Cowboys to win. I thought it'd be an easier win against the Cowboys, to be honest with you. So I was looking for that. I think the Rams are not the same Rams they were in the beginning of the season. Pieces are gone. And the way that this Tampa team is built and can scheme, I think they provide more of an issue. Now, I am happy that Cam Akers is back out there running. The young man looks really good. He looks healthy. Shout out and all prayers go out to Buda Baker. I heard everything's moving on him and he's okay. But man, what a nasty hit.
Definitely.
Just thinking about that, but it just flashed on my head. I was thinking about it as I watched it. We'll jump on it in just a second, guys. When you saw that hit, you know how the NFL is always on defensive players for lowering their head, leading with the crown. Time after time, I see running backs initiate that contact by them lowering the head, and there's no offensive penalty.
Nope.
That injury right there, I'm hoping the NFL reviews it, because that injury that Buda Baker sustained last night was an injury that was solely on the offensive player initiating a head-to-head contact. And you could clearly see where his head was twisted around, then goes on this. I mean, we all saw the video. It was clearly a head-to-head contact initiated by the offensive player. Time after time, we see running backs do that. Nothing happens to them. If it's a defensive player, 15-yard penalty, warning, so on and so forth. So has to be something done in the league about that.
Let me say this, and I agree with you 100%. This year, by far, was I want to say one of those years that I did the most appeals for leading with the helmet, unnecessary roughness penalties, etc. I want to say I appealed about $300,000 to $350,000 worth of appeals. I was doing appeals every week. Okay, until it got to the point where I had to have a meeting with the NFL, the actual NFL, to say, hey, listen, can you guys explain to me what's going on here, et cetera, et cetera. And the thing about it is, with the offensive players, as you know, as kids, and I know from when I played, and this was years ago, when I played, we were always taught the lowest man wins. The lowest man wins. Okay, and what's starting to happen is you're starting to try to teach a new technique in terms of tackling and in terms of delivering punishment with a blow. And the league is trying to figure out a way to clean it up because of all of the concussions, because of all of the CTE. They're trying to figure out a way to change the way guys tackle and the way guys deliver blows. And what's happening is you have to figure out when you're in battle, you're not thinking about, head up, shoulder pad in, head out.
Right.
You're not thinking about that. The game is so fast that you go back to your old ways. What was the way I was taught to hit? And so for an offensive player, if he's coming in, he's lowering his head. And as a defensive player, you're saying, okay, well, if I don't do what I do, I'm either going to get ran over, or I'm going to be in a position where I'm going to lose my job. Yeah, because I missed the tackle. You know what I mean? So that hit last night was prime example. And I don't know if I don't know if Akers is going to get fined for that, or if he's, there was no flag, obviously. But if the NFL goes back and they watch that video and they say, okay, well, did he lead with his helmet? Does the same rules apply for him as they do for the defensive players?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
like
I told
offensively,
you, man,
he did that.
Yeah, he lowered his helmet to deliver to deliver contact, and at the end of the day, somebody could have really gotten hurt, based on how he ran the ball. But he's doing what he's been taught to do, or what he's been doing for years. This isn't something that he just learned how to do yesterday. He's been doing it for years. He's a running back. This is how you get taught. So I'm hoping for all those young kids that did see that play, that they will go out and they would say, hey, I'm not trying to mimic that type of running style, because not only could he have hurt himself or Buda Baker, he could have put himself in harm's way, So this is definitely something to think about, man.
For sure.
It definitely is, and that's a good point. So we'll see what happens. See if the league actually finds him, because like you just said, Ron, just because it was a penalty doesn't mean a fine doesn't come. Just people don't hear about it. You got to look it up in the league
You gotta look it
transaction.
up.
Yeah, you got
Yep.
to look in the
Hey
league
Blake.
transactions.
Hey Blake, you haven't given your pitch yet, so I want to hear what you got. Let me hear what you got, man.
Oh, I ain't forget. All right, let's start from the top. Bengals Titans. I'm gonna go with Titans. King Henry's back. Julio Jones is healthy again. I think the Titans are going to pull this off. I don't think it's going to be a walk-off. I think the Bengals are going to give them a hell of a run for the money. Big shout-out to the Bengals for winning the first playoff game in 31 years as well. So they're going to be coming in there high with a lot of intensity on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Weather should make much of a difference. Both teams play in the cold. So it's going to be a dogfight. And when you say cold, you think playoffs and you think running the ball. So I have to go with the better running team, the Titans, in this game.
Yeah.
49ers and the Packers. It's hard to bet against Aaron Rodgers at all, especially in the playoffs at home in Lambeau Field. But it's something about that matchup. San Francisco and Green Bay. When you think of that, the first thing you think about is the 90s. Steve Young, Troy Aikman, not Troy Aikman, but Brett Favre in those Packers games. As you talk with the frozen tundra and things like that, you think good old solid 90s football back then when you hear this matchup here. 49ers going to come in high. I'm not sure what Jimmy Garoppolo's situation. That is going to play a key part into this as well, especially if he's hurt coming into this game or does not play. I want to pick the 49ers, but I'm going to have to go with Green Bay. I don't think Packers going to go out of the playoffs this early in the playoffs with their first matchup after getting a bye week. So I have to go Packers in this matchup. Okay. Now the Bucs and the Rams. The Rams have always had the Bucs number in the past couple of years, playing that stifling defense. Great pass rush. Von Miller's finally healthy in the most key part and point of the season. As you said, Ernest Jones might possibly coming back in this game, and you still got the man himself, Aaron Donald, in the middle. Don't forget Jalen Ramsey and all the great defensive players that they got back there. Tampa struggles against press defense, man defenses with pass rush, so it's going to be tough. But you got Tom Brady on the other side, and it's a playoff game, and you're at home. I think the Bucs do pull this off, and it's very close. It's tough. This one was very tough to pick, but I think they get it.
It's going to be a dog fight, baby.
If whoever wins this game, it's going to be by 3 points. But
by 3, okay. I can say about 3. I'd say about 3 too. I'd say about 3 as well.
Yeah. So we all agree. So we all agree with that.
Yeah. Lastly, the Bills and the Chiefs. Now the Bills got a lot to prove. Chiefs already won a Super Bowl. They went back to back and they lost to Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And now you're playing against the Chiefs again, who put you out, a year before. And the Bills always have that thing. Nobody circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills. Do they finally get over the hump? This looks like the new rivalry matchup of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, except Josh Allen can't get past Patrick Mahomes. I think this is the time that the Bills get past Patrick Mahomes. I think the Bills are going to come in high, coming from that big monstrous win against a Hall of Fame coach, a defensive-minded coach, as you dismantled the New England Patriots in their first playoff matchup, and you possibly might be Leslie Frazier's last time coaching for that team too, because he's up for a coaching job coming up. So I do think the Bills pull this game off, and I think they pull it off. I think they pull it off by 10 points.
Ooh,
10 points plus. Okay.
Yep.
Ooh, at KC.
At KC.
Diggs did stay out there the last time. And he watched the whole celebration, and he said, "Not again." He stayed out there the whole time, watched the whole celebration. They had to go get him, like, "Yo, hey, the bus ready to leave, bro. You gotta come on, man."
They haven't forgotten, and they showed you they have not forgotten what happened to them last year. Now, don't get me wrong, the Chiefs had their own struggles this year. Tampa Bay ruined them for the first half of the season, and why I say ruin them, they put out the blueprint that all you had to do was play 3 high safeties and force them to go underneath. The Chiefs had to learn, and Mahomes had to learn to take check downs and run the ball to learn to win games in this. So Chiefs are going to be a tough matchup as well. But like I said, I think the Bills are ready for this matchup.
Okay. Okay. So let's jump ahead real quick. Who you like in the NFC AFC Championship? Who we going? We going? What we say? Buccaneers and Green Bay.
Yep.
I'm looking at
Green Bay.
Buccaneers, Green Bay. I'm looking at Buccaneers, Green Bay as well.
And the
Okay.
game's going to be in Green Bay because they have the better dip record.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Okay, and
Tampa's
then you
been
said
there and
AFC.
won there.
So
AFC
AFC Championship.
Titans. Yeah, it was going to be Titans and the Bills.
Yeah, and
Titans
I got
and the
Titans
Bills.
Chiefs. I got Titans Chiefs just because I haven't seen enough out of that Bills defense yet. I think that what Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs teams have learned is they've learned to hit that mid to intermediate route, and I think nobody utilizes their fast, speedy weapons like the Chiefs.
Right.
They're players and they're complementary players. So, for example, our Scotty Miller, yeah, he led the league, the team last year with plus 15-yard plays or whatever. But he only running go routes. You know what I'm saying? That's it. He don't really do anything else. He's not a route technician or anything like that. But with the Chiefs, I just feel like when they can put a ball in someone's fast hands and let them run over the field, and teams have a hard time stopping that. And I don't know how the Bills are going to match up with speedsters. You know, there's a way to combat a Tyreek Hill, just like there's a way to combat a Mike Evans with that bracket coverage. But when you do that, everybody else needs to be completely solid underneath that. And I don't see the Bills having the personnel. Once again, you don't want to be scheme sabotage, right? So I don't see the Bills having the personnel to really match up across the board. I think they can match up if they stay able to stay in a base. But once they have to start, getting out of their base, I think it kind of leans towards the Chiefs' favor. And Mahomes has been here before. They're the big dog in this situation. This is not new to them. Like you said, the press is on the Bills. They have to circle the wagon. Bills Mafia has to come out and do what they have to do. They're going to have to travel and, get on the road. So I'm looking at the Chiefs for that reason to take the edge. And I think they can get it by a +6 against a team. Doesn't matter how bad you want it, as long as the other team wants it more than you and they have the better personnel.
You have to think the Chiefs' defense is not very good either.
No, they're not.
I agree. They're not.
I don't think their secondary is very good as a whole, but I do think their front seven. I like the kid. What's 50's name? What's this kid's name? Mississippi State. Gary. I think it's Gay.
Gary.
Gay.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Gary or Gay? Is it?
Which
linebacker?
The linebacker, is it Gay? I think it's Gay.
It's Gay. He didn't play in the Super Bowl last year. He was hurt.
Yes,
but I do like him. But like you said, Blake, I think that the secondary is a little questionable back there. But I think when you got an offense like that at any point they can put up 40 points, it's like, okay, well, we just need you guys to make sure that we're gonna put up 40. We just keep them under 40, and we're good.
but see, that's what I think they do, Ron. And Blake, answer me this, Blake. What do? They score so much, and this is how they lost against Tampa. When they can beat teams because they're going to come out, push the ball downfield, score really fast, and now they put you in that. I'm going to throw my scheme and my playbook out the window, and I'm going to just start chucking it down the yard because I'm playing catch up. And once you do that, you fall into their trap. That's how their defense is built. Their defense is built to stop teams that try to, we need to get our scores back. We need to hurry up and score. But when you can methodically move down the field on them, they're not built for that. So, but once again, we're watching two teams that are very similar play each other because the Bills won't run the ball. If you told them 4 for 1, it's a pass.
Right.
So I think they're very mirror, and because they're so mirror in their likenesses and similarities, I think the advantage goes to the Chiefs just because if we're the same player, but I've been doing it longer than you, then I'll probably do it a little better than you.
Yeah, absolutely. Either way, all these matchups is going to be good, and
it's going to be good, man.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, watch this, guys. I'm telling you on this linebacking core, and not just because Ron's out here, but this linebacking core right now for Tampa with Levante David and Devin White, is going to be a big deal against this Rams team because of the screens that they like to run and because of the fast and agile running backs that the Buccaneers have already dealt with this season. They did not, I don't believe in the first game they dealt with Cam Akers due to the injury. I don't think he was back yet. And he's a formidable running back. However, when you're dealing with, a Kamara and you deal with a McCaffrey and things like that on a regular basis, your linebacking core is adept to deal with running backs that can catch out the backfield, that can catch swing screens. You play that game well. And these are two of probably the best tandem of linebackers in playing screen games and blowing up, outside run plays. And the build of a team, think of one of these teams right now in here that's probably can put 600 pounds up your middle and force you and know that you have to run then off tackle. Nobody's coming. Nobody else in the playoffs right now has that build of a Ndamukong Suh and a Vita Vea.
I was just thinking that.
That's a 600 pound. That means that they now know where you're not going, so they know where you must go. You know what I'm saying? So now,
well said. Well said.
Healthy at the right time.
Well said.
That's it.
Well, hey, listen, I'm like I told you guys, I'm always willing to come on and talk football with you guys, man, and I look forward to talking again next weekend after this week's game.
Yeah, we do it.
So really looking
man,
forward
enjoy this game, man. Enjoy this game. Get down there, enjoy that game, man. Tell DP we said what's up. Hey, give our love to everybody that's in the
Hey, I definitely will do that. I'm gonna get DP back.
Tell him link back. Tell him link back up because I know it drip different now. Tell him link back up.
Modest
He was modest. You remember? We're gonna go back to the first one because remember he did the little chain like,
I know you got more than that.
Here. I know that drip different. I know it hit different now. I would talk to him like, "Hey, all pro, what's up, my boy?"
I'm gonna get him back on as soon as we hang up. I'll give him a call. Let him know, hey, we got to get back on the show and talk a little bit.
Man. We so happy for him, man.
A lot to talk about since the first time we talked. A lot has transpired, man, and all.
Yeah, he did that. Hey, man, give Blake only need about 20 minutes. Blake, you get that whole highlight film chopped up for him.
Yeah.
Hey, go ahead. Hey, Blake, go ahead and top it up, man.
I'll work on that.
Hey, we gonna have him at the door like bing bong.
Yeah. So Ron, go ahead and plug yourself in, and if anybody, your athletes watching it, and people need their people represented, where they can go and who to contact.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, guys, always a pleasure getting on with you. In terms of my company and my team, you can find us on Instagram at Agency One Sports Group. You can find myself, Agent Butler 1. You can also find us on Twitter, Agency One Sports Group. On our website is agency1sportsgroup.com. We're based out of Deerfield Beach, which is a little bit north of Fort Lauderdale, but we got some great things going on. We got a good rookie class coming up for this year. We actually got our first quarterback for this year's draft, who's from Cal. His name is Chase Garber. So we're actually diversifying, our whole, clientele book and doing things outside of the norm. And like I said, man, come check us out. We got some great stuff going on, and look forward to like I said, getting on with you guys again and chopping it up, man.
Absolutely. Oh, for sure. We appreciate it. Hey guys, you know what it is right here. Ron Butler, Agency One Sports Group. And like I told you before, if you ain't a 1, you a 0. Agency 1.
Just like
appreciate it, fellas. Appreciate it, fellas.
See you next week, Ron. We all get together.
He at the game this week. Hey, post it out there, Ron. We know you want. I know you're busy when you out there. I know you're probably on the sideline with the sideline pass. Go ahead and take a snap. Hit me, hit Blake up. You know what I'm saying? Go live one time when we out there. Show the little people how you do it.
I got you, baby. I got you.
For sure.
Let's do it. As for the great Ron Butler, the great Deshun T Money Tisdale, and me, myself, Blake Anthony. Appreciate y'all checking everything out. Make sure to follow everybody here on social media. It'll be down in the description box. And we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
you having a huge party?
Nope. Just me.
Get delicious cuisine from the country's best chefs delivered right to your door with the click of a button.